Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm going to do a second reaction to Tom MacDonald. I did my very first reaction video last week by student request. Well, he didn't request that I do a reaction, but he did request that I watch a Tom MacDonald video. He asked that I would watch coronavirus, but instead I decided to watch Brainwashed. And I thought I'd go one step further and do a reaction video so that he could actually see me watching it. And I thought that would be, a little bit special for him. I've watched music videos for students in the past. I'm not a music person, but there was a few girls a few weeks ago, they wanted me to watch their favorite K-pop music videos. I wasn't really enthralled about it, but it's a good way to develop relationship with students. And when you show that you're interested in the things that interest them, they're a lot more willing to learn what knowledge you have. Not that I focus on giving my knowledge to students in the class, but what I do is I teach students how to think. And I think a lot of students these days, they haven't been taught how to think. And also teach them how they learn. So if you want to know more about how I got into doing the reaction videos, you can watch my very first reaction video that was posted only at the end of last week. So anyway, as you gathered, I'm a teacher, and yes, I'm a teacher, and today's been a busy day. I just finished a day of teaching, and I have meetings. I have a lot of meetings. I teach social science or social studies, or some people call it environmental studies, or some people call it individuals and societies. But anyway, I teach social studies, and I teach a number of grade levels, so that means I have subject meetings regarding my subject. I have to have meetings regarding each grade level that I teach. I teach middle school, so I also have to attend middle school meetings. And then there's also the whole school meetings. And, being a Christian and speaking out what I believe, sometimes I'm, a little bit wondering what I'm doing in these meetings. I feel a little bit like a Uyghur, a Muslim Uyghur that's been invited to a Chinese Communist Party. He's probably sitting there wondering, why am I here? And I can imagine, just suggesting what it might be like at a Chinese Communist Party, with a Uyghur Muslim there. And he's watching what's going on, and you have one Chinese communist leader gets up, and they're celebrating the achievements of TikTok, and they're saying, oh, look, our TikTok, we've been able to expose degenerate trash of Western civilizations, of Western countries. We've been able to expose the degenerate trash and expose them to the world so people can see what Western countries are really like. And then one guy said, yeah, look at this one here. He says there's about 853 genders. And some other guy sitting there, oh yeah, but look at him, he looks like, I don't know what gender he is. And I'm just saying this is what it could be like at one of their parties. We don't know. Another one saying, oh, look at this one here. This guy's got no gender, because he says that he identifies as a canine that's been neutered. And they're all having a big laugh about it. But anyway, the Uyghur Muslim is sitting there wondering, what the heck is going on? Why was I invited? So that's kind of a little bit what I feel like at these teacher meetings. One of the other problems I had with my first video, I saw a lot of comments, my microphone. So I must apologize. This is all I have. That's my microphone. I only have one earpiece. The other one doesn't work, so it just sort of dangled there, so I got rid of it. But, it does the job for what I do. If I have to teach online, it does the job for that. I have a very cheap webcam. It probably cost me a maximum of, $10 for the webcam. Maybe $6 or $7 for this earphone. Well, it had two pieces, but so I got one now, and it's got the microphone hanging there. So it does the job. I would like to get one of those headsets. That would be really good. I'll try and get one day. I'll get the money together and I'll get a headset one day. One where the microphone comes around the front. That would be neat. That'd make me feel like a helicopter pilot. Well, probably flying a plane. That would be something special. I don't think people would appreciate me flying a plane. I can imagine being a pilot in one of those US Air Force planes in Afghanistan, and all the people, they're climbing onto the planes and they're white knuckling, hanging on for dear life to escape out of Afghanistan, and then they see me, pilot, taxiing down the runway, and they sort of have a look and they just go and wait for the next plane. So that's probably be the story with me if I was actually a pilot. Well, oh yeah, so anyway, you could probably, well, I was going to point to the map behind me, but obviously there's no actual map behind me. Last video I tried to be really deadly and do a green screen. Well, I tried to do a green screen because the wall behind me is very ugly. That's a fact. So it's very ugly, and so I did a green screen, and I had Tom MacDonald's video in the background. It wasn't, it was so. I think when I looked at it again, it sort of made me look like a poltergeist. And the problem with being well, actually, it was even worse because the movie Poltergeist. I actually looked like that old guy, the one that was the religious cult leader. I looked a bit like him, so that was a bit worrying. So I thought I'd get rid of that idea of presenting myself on camera. Like I said, if I had a nice wall, I would show the wall, but I don't. So I'm just, got this map behind me. You can see Australia down here, which is obviously in the wrong place, isn't it? Or maybe I should have flipped it. Can I flip it now? Let's see if I can know how to flip it. I'm using that OBS. I really have no idea what I'm doing after. Hey, is that right? Yeah, that looks better. Hey, look, there we go. I mean, Australia is down under these days. Well, brought down under. Oh my goodness, more than down under. Australia is under the boot. They gave up their weapons. They had years ago. They had this like a mandatory buyback gun, where the government would buy guns back. But it was mandatory. Some people, I think, are allowed to have special rifles well, not special rifles, but they're allowed licenses to have hunting weapons. But that's about it. If they live on a farm. But they got rid of all their guns, and now they're just under the boot of a totalitarian regime, pretty much the same like New Zealand. So not only are they down under, but they are definitely under the boot of a totalitarian regime, totalitarian dictatorship, and it's a sad state of affairs. Well, I'm supposed to be doing a reaction, but I'm certainly getting sidetracked here. I had a really long day at work. I didn't get much sleep over the weekend. I was writing lesson plans, but I was writing assessments for students that they're going to start doing this week. I really didn't get much sleep. I didn't have much sleep last night. And the thing is, when I don't get enough sleep, my mind does not stay in the same place. It sort of travels here, it travels there. But we will get around to doing this. We will get around to doing this. I think I'm kind of working myself up to it. I was quite nervous the first time I did a reaction, which was last week. Yeah, a lot of it was like, I was listening to Tom MacDonald for the first time, and like every sentence, every verse, every verse just had information, and it was all just going boom, boom, and when you're sort of like got your face in the wind and the wind is blowing your hair and everything back. That's kind of like what it was like when all this information was coming from Tom MacDonald's song, and it was just like blowing me back, and it was really hard to take it all in, as well as being a bit nervous for doing my very first reaction video as well, so add that onto it. But I've thought about it, and I thought, well, there is a lot of information, and there was a lot of things I wanted to say, and I just didn't get around to saying them. So I thought about how will I go about doing the next one. So I thought, instead of actually focusing on each verse, that each verse or each point that Tom MacDonald brings, I thought, well, maybe I will focus on the concept. So like when I teach my students to write paragraphs, I get them to write each paragraph about a particular concept or a particular idea or their opinion, and in that they have to support their opinion with facts and examples. So each paragraph is an idea, or each paragraph is a concept. So I thought the next time I do a reaction to Tom MacDonald, I'm going to look at not each verse as he gives them, because there's just way too much information, and there's a lot I want to say, but I just don't get around to saying it. So I'm going to focus on the concept. So when I'm listening to it, I'm going to see what concepts sort of like are highlighted, and then I'm going to speak on those concepts. But being a Christian, I'm going to relate those concepts that Tom MacDonald brings up, and I'm going to relate them to what the Bible says. And being a teacher, I may do it in like a teacher-student way. I don't mean to do that. But if that happens, I'll just go along with it. So anyway, yeah, so I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian teacher. I don't teach at a Christian school. I don't teach at a Christian school. There was one school I taught at. An English teacher tried to get me in trouble for preaching the gospel to students. Well, I wasn't preaching the gospel to students. I was sharing the gospel with students. So there was this book the English teacher had actually gave the students as a requirement to read, and it was a C.S. Lewis book, and this is going back a few years now. It was something to do with Narnia. It's a Narnia book, and in the book there was this lion, and I can't remember his name because Aslan maybe. Sorry if I'm wrong. And he had to sacrifice himself. He had to allow himself to be put to death for the sake of not just his kingdom, but for the inhabitants of his kingdom. And then what had happened is that when the enemies then went to war against the inhabitants of his kingdom, because the big powerful lion was out of the way, he was resurrected and come to life again. And he came into battle against the enemy, and he overcome the enemy, and he delivered his inhabitants of his kingdom from being in bondage to the enemy. So he first sacrificed himself in order that they might live, and then he was resurrected, and he overcome the enemy so that they could be delivered from the bondage of the enemy. Anyway, I saw a lot of students during lunchtime and in the library and they're reading this book as part of their required reading, and I would just sort of mosey on over and say, "What are you reading? what's happened so far in the book, and they would start talking about how it was really sad that this lion had died, and somehow that they don't understand why, but he come alive again. And that provided me the opportunity to share the gospel, because I would say, well, I think I might know what it's about. And they say, really? Well, what's your opinion? What do you think it's about? Because these, they don't know. So many young people these days have never heard the gospel. So it gave me it gave me opportunity to share the gospel to these people. And so anyway, I'm supposed to be doing fake woke. Another thing I would like to talk about as well, because I saw in the comments a lot. I saw in the comments, facts, and it got me wondering, what are these truths or are these facts? Because I teach as I said before, I have my students give their opinion or present a concept, and I always have my students provide facts or examples, provide evidence that supports their opinion. What facts do you have that supports your opinion? And then explain how that fact supports your opinion. And one of the students one day, a number of years back, said, well, is a fact a truth? And I had to think about it. Because I know myself, I can support my opinion by looking for facts that support my opinion. I can support anyone's opinion, even if I don't agree with that opinion. I can find facts that will support their opinion, and in fact, and I can explain how that fact supports their opinion. So, to me, that's not truth. It seems like a fact is say for example, there's a guy in Saudi Arabia, and he's looking up at the sky, and it's beautiful and blue, and it's a Monday. It's Monday. He's looking up at the sky. It's beautiful and blue, and he takes a selfie of himself looking up at the sky, and you can see the beautiful blue sky in the background as well. And he sends it to me. And he says, "Oh, look at this beautiful blue sky that I'm looking at." And well, yes, that is a fact. He is looking up at a beautiful blue sky. I can see the evidence of it. However, where I am, I look up at the sky and all I see is grey. I just see pollution and smog. So therefore, it's not a fact for me. The fact for me is that the sky is grey because it's full of smog and pollution. So I take a selfie of myself looking up at the smog, and I've got the smog in the background. I take a selfie and I send it to him. And so that's a fact for me, but it's not a fact for him. So he looks at my picture and he sees the grey smog, but then he looks up at his sky and he sees blue. So we have two different facts, but both, I was going to say both are true, but both are facts. The thing is, one is fact for him, one is fact for me. The thing is as well, he took his photo on a Monday, and because we live in a different time zone, I took my photo on a Tuesday, even though we were only minutes apart. Okay, so he took his on a Monday. That's a fact. I took mine on a Tuesday. That's a fact. So you can always find facts to support an opinion, okay, which is very, very different from truths. You'll see that facts is not always the same where it is happening or where it happened and when it happened. Okay? Facts are determined by where and when. But truths are very different. Truths must be something that no matter where you are, and no matter what time, even what time of history, it will always be the same. That is truth. So, for example, if I took a picture of the sky and it's grey, and my friend took a picture of the sky and it's blue, that's facts. Even though they're different, truth is different. If I jumped off, or if I was stupid enough to walk off a 50-story building, I would go splat. I'd be dead. I would be cactus, right? I'd be cactus. No matter where I did that, no matter where in the world I would step off a 50-story building, and no matter what time in history, I would be dead. Okay, so that's the truth, right? Because no matter where it happens or when it happens, it will always be the same result. If you put your hand in fire, your hand will get burnt. Okay? No matter where in the world you do that, and no matter what time in history you do that, your hand will get burnt. That is a truth. Okay, it doesn't change. It doesn't change according to where, it doesn't change according to when. And therefore, truth relies on natural laws, but it also relies on spiritual laws. So those were natural laws that I was talking about. And then you have spiritual laws, which also includes God's morality or his standards of morality. Right? So they're truths. It is true that no matter where you are and no matter what time in history, if you commit adultery, there is going to be a consequence. Someone will get hurt. If you commit adultery, you are going to feel guilty. But now the problem with sin is that if you commit a sin over and over and over and over again, eventually that guilt leaves. And when you do that sin, there is no guilt at all. There is no conviction. And the Bible says that that is having your mind seared with a hot iron. Okay, you've become insensitive to conviction of guilt. You become insensitive. Guilt is a good thing because it tells you that you've done something wrong, and you go to God, and God forgives you and takes that guilt away. It's a wonderful thing. But if you keep committing something over and over and over again, then eventually your mind gets seared and you don't feel that guilt anymore. But anyway, like I said, there are truths, there are natural truths, there are spiritual truths. And the natural truth is, you put your hand in fire, it will get burnt. You jump off a building, 50-story high, splat on the side of the footpath, on the pavement, you're dead. They're truths, and you notice that with truths comes consequences, and that's the same with spiritual truths. So if you do an act against a spiritual truth, such as immorality, sexual immorality, there is going to be a consequence. Many people don't want to say that there's no such thing as absolute truth. There's no such thing. Well, people who say that have just contradicted themselves, because you can't say there is no such thing as absolute truth, because you've just made an absolute truth by saying that there is no absolute truth. There is absolute truth. There is truth. There's natural and there's spiritual. And just as with natural, truth brings consequences. If you break the natural law, your hand will get burnt, or you'll go splat on the pavement. Same as with spiritual truths. If you break spiritual laws, there's a spiritual truth, there will be consequences. Now, a lot of people don't want to admit, yes, they'll say, yes, there's natural truths, but there's no such thing as spiritual truths. But that's because they don't want their own sin and their own lifestyle to be confronted. So they try to deny the fact that there are spiritual truths. And also there is that fear, whether they admit it or not, there is that fear that along with breaking spiritual laws and being confronted by spiritual truth, there are consequences. So there's a big difference between facts and truth. Also with truth, because there's always consequences, wherever truth goes, there will always be confrontation. You cannot have truth without confrontation. Okay, so wherever truth goes, it takes with it confrontation. That's not the case with facts. There's not the case of consequences with facts. Okay, so that's the difference between facts and the difference between truths. Okay, so anyway, I just thought I'd share that. Now I've just been talking and talking so long, I probably could have done 3 reactions to Tom MacDonald's. So you know what? I think I'm going to have a rest. Maybe because it's even getting pretty late where I am. Maybe tomorrow afternoon when I finish work, I'm going to sit down and actually react to Tom MacDonald's woke. See, I told you when I'm really tired, my brain starts to wander, and I noticed then that I forgot that I was actually supposed to be. I forgot I was actually supposed to be doing a reaction to Tom MacDonald. So I'm certainly not woke because I'm asleep. But we can see here that he's talking about fake woke, false woke, pretending to be awake, but actually they're asleep. But anyway, we'll get into this. We'll get into this reaction tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have a good sleep tonight. Hopefully, tomorrow I won't have too many lessons and I won't have too many teacher meetings, and I will be raring to go. Who knows? I might have a new headset with the microphone. I'll look like a pilot. I won't get a job in Afghanistan. Never mind. What else? Yes, Uyghur Muslims. Whether we're Christian or not, we need to keep them in our prayers. They're certainly going through a lot. And it's also very highly unlikely that I will be invited to a Chinese Communist Party. And it is very true what someone said. TikTok, it's degenerate trash. I know maybe the Chinese do that for a reason, expose the degenerate trash of Western societies to the world. I don't have TikTok. I've seen a couple of TikTok things on YouTube, and oh, it's just way too much for me. So anyway, you won't see me on TikTok. You won't see me at a Chinese Communist Party, and you won't see me flying a plane, and hopefully you won't see me doing a video again where I look like a poltergeist, and especially looking like a religious cult leader that just talked 50 people into drinking poison. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I will see you next time tomorrow. See you next time tomorrow. I need to sleep. Anyway, okay. God bless, and sorry I didn't do the reaction. I did warn you that sometimes I get a bit too talkative, but let's call that sleep deprivation. Okay, sleep deprivation. Okay, anyway, and like I said, I'll do Tom MacDonald, I'll do fake woke. I won't do it verse by verse as he sings it. That's way too much information for me. Information overload. It's now kind of like, the students, that are sort of like struggling, and you give them sources to read, different types of sources where they have to derive information from, and you can see how it's like information overload for these little kids. Bless their little hearts. That's the way I felt not yesterday. That's the way I felt the other day. Like information overload. Bless me, Lord. Anyway, so I'm not going to do it the same way. I'm just going to listen and and like capture the concepts that Tom is talking about, and that way I think I'll be able to get to share more of what I want to share instead of missing out on sharing a lot of what I wanted to share, if that makes any sense. Anyway, God bless. See you, same channel. No, it's not TV, is it? Okay. See you next time. Hope you click on my video when I upload it. Tom MacDonald's reaction to fake woke, coming to you, not at a cinema near you, but coming to you shortly. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a comment. Oh, comments. Wow, I said, leave a comment if you like. I think I got about 900 and something comments. Over the weekend, I think I answered written replies to about 500 and something comments, but that's the teacher in me. You know, give feedback. But, you know, I got a lot of good feedback from you guys, so I thank you, and I really appreciate that. I got a lot of good feedback. I got some good tips. I got some, you know, guidance on how to do things. So I really appreciate that, and I thank you very much. And I thank you for everyone who subscribed, because that really encouraged me. And I better let you go, and I better let myself go. I got a couple of cats here. Yes, I'm a cat dad. I got 2 cats here, sort of like looking at me, and they're sitting at their plates. Not that they're trained to sit at their plates. They're just saying, "Hey, you, we run this place. Get off there. Go downstairs. Go to the kitchen. Go to the fridge. Get our dinner." And get a step on it. So, okay, so I'll let you go. God bless. See you when I upload. Well, I'll upload this because I talked a lot, and then I'll do my reaction to Tom MacDonald, and then I'll upload that. So take care. Cheers. Have a good day.